very controversial topic. Islam and the Muslims, what is going on in Gaza or the West Bank? Why are we paying for this? Anyone who says those things is accused of working for the Muslims. The response is Islam is so scary.
Well, this has been the media narrative, Islam versus the West. Do we have our differences theologically with Islam? Yes, but that doesn't mean we have to discriminate and demonize almost 2 billion people.
A lot of different people have ruled that area. 2,000 years ago was the Romans. Islam starts, the Ottomans, Muslims. Now, under Israeli rule, the real threat begins. That's what you're saying.
Yes, they do this not just to Palestinian Christians. They do it to the Muslims. When Islam came to Palestine, Muslims converted from Christianity, and probably some Jews even converted to Islam.
Tucker Carlson just hosted a Palestinian Christian minister who revealed that Christians in Palestine lived safely under previous Muslim and Christian rule. But since Israel took control of the land, Palestinian Christians have faced relentless oppression, pushing their community toward extinction. Tucker and his guest also examined how Christian Zionism and fear-mongering about Islam and Muslims in the West have been used to manipulate public opinion. Let's watch the first clip.
We're an indigenous people of the land.
Christian people.
Christian Palestinians have a unique story to tell.
A lot of different people have ruled that area. 2,000 years ago was the Romans. Then, of course, you move up from Arabia. Islam starts, and then you have the Crusades kind of flip it over, and then you have it flip back, and it becomes the Ottomans. And then Muslims run out of Istanbul, Constantinople, Turks, and then you have the Brits, and now you have the Israelis. So during all that time, that village remained Christian, but you're saying now, under Israeli rule, because it is ruled by the Israelis, correct?
Yes.
It's in danger of becoming extinct. And then in 1967, when this area is annexed by the government,
yes,
the real threat begins. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Israel has pursued one strategy, Tucker, over decades, which is take as much Palestinian land as possible and keep as few Palestinians on the land as possible. This has been their strategy. 1967, when they captured West Bank, East Jerusalem, and in Gaza, they have been taking land. They have been building settlements there. And this is threatening the local population, taking water resources, building walls around these settlements, building new roadblocks, building new checkpoints, building new security measures, they call it, motion sensors, electric barbed wires. And it comes at a really deep expense, at the expense of the local population. I was 10 at that time. I saw an Israeli soldier stepping out of the vehicle, pointing a rifle at us, and he starts shooting at us.
You?
My siblings, my mother was there, and some of my cousins. And then my mother, she caught a bullet in the back.
Your mother?
Yes, my own mother.
Wait, you saw this happen?
This in front of my eyes.
Sorry, so you're just shocking me? I didn't expect to hear that.
They do this not just to Palestinian Christians. They do it to the Muslims. They do it to any Palestinians.
Did she survive?
She did. Miraculous. The bullet was just millimeters away from the spine.
I'm mad, as I've said a million times, about my people, Christians, distorting the gospel in a way that allows theft and murder and the degradation of human beings. I'm never going to be okay with that. That's what they're mad at me about, is because I've called out Christian Zionism. They see that as critical. You have to have American evangelical pastors telling their congregations, who are sweet people who don't know any better,
yes,
that God wants you to support the state of Israel.
What Christian Zionists get wrong here, for Palestinians, Christian Zionism means taking our land, taking our resources, while declaring that you have a divine right, and the descendants who have maintained their Christian presence for the past 2,000 years do not somehow have that same divine right. Our ancestors were Jewish. Some people even converted when Islam came to Palestine, but they did not convert from atheism. Muslims converted from Christianity, and probably some Jews even converted to Islam. So you might have some Muslims that can claim that they have a Jewish DNA.
Tucker's guest, Dr. Faris Abraham, argued that Palestinian Christians are indigenous to the land, just like Palestinian Muslims and Palestinian Jews. He challenged the idea that Palestinians are outsiders, emphasizing that many families have lived there for countless generations, while much of Israel's modern population traces its more recent ancestry to Europe and other parts of the Middle East. Tucker then reviewed the region's long history under Roman, Christian, Muslim, Ottoman, and British rule. Governments and empires repeatedly changed, yet Palestinian communities remained rooted in the land. According to Ferris, their survival is now under unprecedented threat because of displacement, occupation, settlement expansion, and decades of policies designed to secure maximum territory while leaving as few Palestinians as possible on it. He described the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza as fragments of historic Palestine left after the establishment and expansion of Israel, enabled by powerful Western governments. These territories were later occupied, settlements were constructed in violation of international law, and Palestinian communities were subjected to segregation, restricted movement, and severe pressure on essential resources. Ferris stressed that Palestinian Christians and Muslims endure the same fundamental struggle because occupation does not distinguish between them. Both communities face displacement, violence, and the gradual disappearance of their presence from the land. The most disturbing moment came when Ferris recalled being shot at alongside his siblings and cousins when they were children. His mother was shot in the back while trying to protect them, although she thankfully survived. Tucker appeared visibly shaken by the story, and understandably so. No parent or child should ever be forced to endure such terror. The conversation then turned to Christian Zionism. Tucker questioned how some Christians could interpret the Bible in a way that justifies dispossessing, killing, or degrading innocent people. Ferris called Christian Zionism a scam, pointing to what he sees as its central contradiction. Christians are encouraged to support a political ideology that grants one group an exclusive divine claim to land also inhabited by fellow Christians and Muslims. Ferris also argued that Palestinian Christians and Muslims likely share deep ancestral ties with the ancient Jewish population of the region. Over centuries, many local families converted from Judaism to Christianity and later to Islam without leaving the land. His point was simple. Religion may have changed across generations, but the indigenous population largely remained. Whatever political narrative people choose to believe, Ferris's testimony forces one uncomfortable question. If Palestinian Christians truly matter to the Christian West, why has their suffering been ignored for so long? Let's watch the next clip.
Let me ask you about a very controversial topic, and that's Islam and the Muslims. And I noticed that in the United States that anyone who says, wait a second, what is going on in Gaza or the West Bank? Why are we paying for this? Why are our ministers, making excuses for this? Anyone who says those things is accused of working for the Muslims or being a secret jihadi or taking money from some Muslim group or country or whatever. This has happened to me. For the record, I've never taken money from anybody, Christian, Jew, or Muslim, and won't. The response is, I don't want to talk about what your tax dollars are doing because Islam is so scary that we just have to go along with this or else we're all going to be living in a caliphate.
Yes. Well, this has been the media narrative, and we are told by Christians, and because I minister among Christian circles, that this is a cosmic battle between God of the Bible against his enemies.
Yes.
This is between good and evil, Islam versus the West.
Yeah.
Once you frame a conflict like this, you are destined for perpetual animosity and perpetual wars.
That's the whole point. That was the point of 9/11, obviously.
So do we have our differences theologically with Islam? Yes, nobody ignores that. Do we have our understanding of God? Yes, but that doesn't mean we have to discriminate and demonize an entire group of people, almost 2 billion people.
They're not the ones who overthrew a secular regime and made it possible to murder all the Christians. It's the same in Iraq. They had a secular regime, not defending Saddam or Uday or Qusay.
Yes.
But it was the Israelis pushing the Bush administration to overthrow this regime that got millions of Christians in Iraq murdered or displaced.
And
that's just a fact.
And had we listened to the church leaders in Iraq, had we listened to the pastors and leaders who pleaded with the administration not to invade, we wouldn't have this catastrophe. Iraqi community is very small, but they're faithful, they're staying, but they have been devastated by the terrorists.
They're mostly gone now.
Yes.
And you will see the same thing in Syria, same thing in Lebanon. Who blew up the port of Beirut? But one of the ideas that's common among Christian Zionists is that Christians need to help rebuild this thing called the Third Temple.
Yes.
In Jerusalem. Unfortunately, there's a mosque on the site, one of the holiest places in Islam, Aqsa Mosque. But is that something that Christians should want, to rebuild the Third Temple? What is that?
Absolutely not. The short answer. There is no scripture that points to the fact that Christians need to build the Third Temple.
Well, we're doing it. I mean, we're moving toward knocking down the Al-Aqsa Mosque and replacing it with a Third Temple. I mean, all things being equal, it's going to happen. It was just occupied yesterday by a bunch of settlers. So this is happening in slow motion. Christians are paying for it. What is going on?
They're putting their hopes on earthly matters. Why are we so fixated on erecting a temple that does not have any spiritual significance whatsoever?
Tucker deserves credit for challenging the negative propaganda so often directed at Islam and Muslims. As he argued, condemning the suffering in Gaza and the West Bank, and questioning why American taxpayers are being forced to finance it, is not an extremist position. It is a moral response to the suffering of innocent people. Tucker also addressed accusations that critics of Israel are secretly being paid by Muslims. He suggested that these allegations are a form of projection, pointing instead to organized efforts to finance pro-Israel messaging. His broader point was clear: money and political pressure should never determine how we distinguish right from wrong. He argued that constant warnings about Islam taking over the West are deliberately used to frighten the public, demonize Muslims, and distract attention from what is happening to Palestinians. Faris similarly criticized sections of the media and certain Christian groups for promoting the idea of an inevitable war between Islam and the West. That narrative does not merely distort reality, it reduces nearly 2 billion Muslims to a convenient enemy and makes military aggression against Muslim-majority countries easier to justify. As Faris explained, theological disagreements between Christianity and Islam can never justify hatred or discrimination against Muslims. The bitter irony is that Arab Christians have also suffered, been displaced, and lost their lives while this religious division has been promoted. Tucker and Faris argued that Western audiences have repeatedly been misled about the causes of conflicts across Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. Faris said that if Western Christians had listened to Christians actually living in the Middle East, they would have discovered that Christian and Muslim communities frequently face the same violence, displacement, and political instability. The discussion also turned to extremist movements targeting the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, the third holiest site in Islam. Faris condemned efforts to destroy the mosque and replace it with a Jewish temple. He also denounced Christian Zionists who support that agenda, arguing that their position has no legitimate foundation in Christianity. This was another powerful interview from Tucker Carlson, one that allowed viewers to hear about Palestine directly from someone shaped by its reality, rather than solely through the political narratives promoted online and throughout the mainstream media.